Yo, what's going on everybody? Chadley here, and in today's video I'm going to help you guys decide whether or not you should be buying Godfall, the new looter slasher game that just came out yesterday. Now, I have put in quite a few hours already into the game, and I am absolutely loving it at the current moment in time. But I'm just going to run through the positive negatives of this game and then give you guys my overall recommendation on whether or not you should buy this. And obviously, these are my opinions of the game. I would definitely look at other places after this video, and that will help you guys make a more informed decision for yourself and see if this game fits with what you want out of the game. And right now, I have just beaten the main campaign of the game, and I will give another opinion of the end game once I get there. I got to go through all the dreamstones and the towers of trial and all that good stuff. So once I get through all that, I'll let you guys know how that is. But for right now, this is kind of my experience so far through the main campaign. And also, if you guys do find this video helpful, make sure you guys are subscribed for more Godfall content. And also, don't be afraid to stop by our Twitch. We stream every single day, and hopefully I will see you guys over there. There will be links to that in the description down below. But otherwise, let's go ahead and jump right into the positives of this game first. Now, the biggest thing that I love about this game is the combat. The combat in this game is insane. Now, I went into this game kind of expecting it to be a mindless slasher, and that is so far from the truth. This game is incredibly punishing if you do not know what you're doing, and the combat skill ceiling is so high. Like, there is so much to learn with this game and the different enemy attacks and just overall how things work. There is so much to this combat system, and it is absolutely amazing. It feels so good. It's so rewarding to get kills and do things correctly. And then when you mess up, you get punished for it. It is nuts. I've been playing on the hard difficulty, and it is a huge challenge. The boss fights in this game are insane. It really feels like you're fighting gods. Like, if you parry a boss attack or basically any enemy's attack, like, it feels like you're getting hit with the weight of a planet, and then you can just go in and just go nuts and tear them apart. I cannot talk highly enough about this combat system, and Counterplay just did an amazing job with this system. Now, obviously, we cannot talk about Godfall without talking about the visuals. This game just looks so good. Even on low settings, it still looks good, mainly because of the color palette for all the different realms. It just overall looks amazing. Everything about it, all like the glowing effects and all these little details just make it look so good. And then when you're like inspecting a valor plate or something, it just looks so badass. All of the valor plates just look so good. So as somebody who's played a lot of Borderlands, there is not a lot of straightforward things in that game, but Godfall is the complete opposite. There is a codex in the game that tells you exactly how everything works, and that is so nice when it comes to build making. So in Borderlands, we have to test everything, and even like skills that say it does this, we have to test those to make sure they actually do it, because most of the time they don't actually work how it's written. But right now in Godfall, everything that I have messed around with works exactly like how it does in the codex. So if you guys want to know how anything works, make sure you do look at the codex. It will help you out a ton as you go through the game. Now, something else that really helps out with build making and stuff in this game is obviously when it comes to build making in games like this, there's a lot of RNG involved, but something that really helps you minimize that RNG, but obviously at a cost, is you can turn any item into a legendary. So say you found a sword with a effect that you really like, and also the passives on it you really like, you can upgrade that thing to a legendary and use it at the end game just like you found it as a legendary. And I think that is so huge, because finding a legendary with the exact things that you want can get very difficult. So overall, this kind of helps you speed up that process of getting the perfect build, but obviously at a cost. So there is still some grinding involved with getting the resources, because it's definitely not cheap to upgrade these things, but it definitely reduces that RNG factor, which is huge. And that kind of ties into the builds in this game feel like they can be really optimized with all the different passives and effects on legendaries and things like that. It seems like you can go pretty in depth and get some pretty nice combos going. Now, there's really only one way that builds feel really limited in this game, and that's going to segue us into the negative section. Now, this negative section, I'm excluding kind of the day one bugs. In today's day and age, all games basically launch with some sort of bug, so I'm just kind of ignoring those for the time being. Now, if they never get fixed and persist, those will show up in our future opinions and reviews on the game. But for right now, I will be ignoring those little bugs, and we're just going to focus on the core mechanics of the game. So that one way that builds kind of feels super limited is actually the different valor plates really don't feel all that different. They're basically cosmetics with a cherry on top min-max. So all of the valor plates have a passive that's always active. And then otherwise, everything else is only active in your Archon ability. And there's a lot of times in the game, you're not using your Archon abilities. They only last for a couple seconds and take quite a while to charge up. So you really only get that passive. That's like the main difference between the plates. Maybe once I get more into the end game and we get better legendaries and things like that, they'll start to feel a little bit more impactful. But at the current time being, they really don't feel super impactful. So I think one way they could change this feeling of sameness between the different valor plates is your weapon techniques are based on that type of weapon. So all the swords will have the same northern and southern techniques. I would like to see the techniques based on the valor plate themselves, because to me, it kind of gives that valor plate the backstory and like a fighting style. And I think that would be really cool if they could implement that in some way, but I don't know if that's actually something they'll be able to do. It's just what I would have liked to seen done. Now, kind of a similar negative here is that the different status effects in this game all seem to kind of do the same thing. They're just kind of dots. They don't have any like real bonuses against certain enemies or anything like that. So for example, bleed, poison, curse, and all that, they all are just kind of dots. It's not like bleeds are better on like flesh enemies or poison just automatically spreads. There's things to make poison spread, but it doesn't inherently do that. And it's really hard to actually proc a lot of these things. So the different status effects main purposes are just for proccing different abilities on your weapons, or if you're using a certain frame in your Archon ability, you will get that kind of effect going a little bit more. But I would like to see these effects have some sort of difference between them. So for example, bleed would be really good against enemies without armor, and you could stack it up so they start taking more and more damage over time. Or say you're fighting in the water realm, if you're using shock abilities, it'd be much more effective and deal more damage against these water enemies. Now, the last thing about these status effects is that it does not seem like they can be applied to bosses. So it doesn't look like you can inflict bleed on these bosses and have them just start draining health. So I'm not sure why that's the case. I'm not sure if it's bugged right now, but I would like to see these different effects be able to be applied to bosses. And then if that was combined with different effects, you could definitely pair certain status effects to certain bosses and get really good results. Yeah, at the current moment in time, those are really my only negatives about the game, but those aren't really super impactful to me, and they could definitely be changed in the future, so I am hopeful with those. So let's go ahead into the overall. Should you buy Godfall? So if you're a type of person who only cares about the story, you don't really care about the gameplay too much, you're here just for a story, this is definitely not the game for you. It's not why these games are made. They're made for the gameplay and the gameplay loops and all that endgame stuff. This story is just kind of something that's there. Think of like Call of Duty. Nobody really buys it for the campaign. It's all multiplayer and stuff. So that's why people like me buy games like this for the gameplay and gameplay loops, for the endgame and these combat systems. So if you are someone like me who really likes a challenge and these crazy good combat systems, this is definitely a game you're going to want to pick up. You can do so much in this game, and I cannot stress enough how good the combat is. Now, can it be a little grindy and sometimes a little repetitive going to certain bosses? Yes, but the combat just makes up for that in an instant. I'm really excited to see how these endless floors of trials are going to play out, especially in co-op. I think some of the combos you can make up are going to be crazy, and it's going to be really cool to see who can get furthest in this tower. And like I said at the start of the video, I will give you guys my opinions on when I get to that point in the game. So yeah, hopefully this video helped you guys make an informed decision on whether or not you should buy Godfall. Like I said, make sure you guys check out other reviews of the game so you guys can make an informed decision. If you did find it helpful, make sure you guys leave a thumbs up on the video. It really helps me out. And also consider subscribing for more Godfall content. Also, we're going to be posting a lot of Borderlands stuff as well, so definitely stay tuned for that. Hopefully I will see you guys over on Twitch, but hopefully you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next video. See ya.